Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Today on the show, I have Ben Woerner from Wunderworks on with me, and we're going to be talking about Nighty Nights, the RPG. I'm really excited to have Ben Woerner on with me. Ben, thanks for coming on and talking about Nighty Nights, your Kickstarter that's on right now that I'm really excited about.
Thank you. Nighty Nights is going well. It's my first RPG that I'm putting out under the Tiny D6 system banner license. Um, it's a role-playing game where you play stuffed animals who protect their sleeping children owners from monsters and nightmares who are trying to attack the children and steal all their dreams.
I love the idea. Of course, we've all had kind of that idea of our stuffed animals like coming alive at night and protecting us against the boogeyman or whatever's creeping underneath our bed. So I love
Exactly.
the idea of an RPG that kind of embraces that thought and setting. How did you come up with the Nighty Nights? Is it just something that you had in the back of your mind, or?
I had, just like most kids, I had a lot of stuffed animals when I was a kid, and um, then I always thought of like cool adventures with them. That was like a thing I did a lot, and I had done basically started role playing kind of early and whatnot. And like I started role playing games when I was about 11, and I
Okay,
continued. I still had stuffed animals, so sometimes I would like you know pretend with them. A role playing adventure when I couldn't have my players because I was the kid with the book who had bought the book, so therefore I was the GM, right?
sure.
Because no one else wanted to. Um, but I mean, it was kind of like a vague thing in the back of my head. But then years later, I was on the internet and I came across this great picture that probably many people have seen, which is this like sepia toned ink print that has a picture of a child sleeping on their bed, and then there's a little stuffed bear with a wooden sword, and hanging over the bed is this massive evil looking monster that looks like it's about to eat the child, and the little bear is defiantly holding the sword up. I came across it and I was talking with some of my writing group friends, John Kennedy and Ryan Schoon and Alan Barr, and we were chatting about things, and I came up with this whole idea for Nighty Nights, and John Kennedy came up with the name, which is a brilliant name. And originally, I had created a card game, and that's actually still going to be coming out, but probably in about a year. So finally, I had this in the back of my head for uh, a long time, and then I was doing a bunch of freelancing, and I finally now have the opportunity to do some of my own games I've been wanting to do for a while. And I was talking to Alan about what sort of system I would want to use that was kid friendly,
Sure.
and Tiny D6 is really just perfect for it. So I actually wrote the game in like a week.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Good
I
for
wrote the whole
you.
thing
That's
in a
awesome.
week, and I was like, "It's done."
That's very
Next,
cool.
yeah. So it just kind of all flowed out. It was like, I started writing. I'm like, "Oh, here it is. This is it." It wasn't even like, some games it's like pulling teeth, and then other
Sure.
games it's like it's just comes pouring out. And Nighty
Nice.
Nights was one of those.
Now, would you say that this game is perfect for kids? Would it be good for? I mean, I'm assuming it's good for parents to play with their kids. And when I saw it, immediately what I thought, like I can see myself playing that with Sydney and maybe having some of her friends over and sitting down at the table and playing it. Is that? I'm assuming that's probably the target audience that you're looking for with this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a family-friendly game. I have an 8-year-old and a 15-year-old right now. I started obviously back when they were a little bit younger, and they've been wanting, or the 15-year-old has been role-playing for a number of years, but the 8-year-old just started. And this was definitely a game I had in mind that I could play with the kids. But I also wanted it to be a game that was interesting enough for adults to play if they wanted. And it wasn't something that was just like, this is just a child's game, right? Like if you're a teenager and you have a bunch of, it's like you're all your group is a bunch of like 17, 18-year-olds, and you're like, let's have a kind of cool but maybe a little creepy or scary game where we're all stuffed animals. Let's do it. And you can still do that sort of thing. The game is definitely designed to be a PG friendly game, but if you want to, you could crank it up to be PG-13 if you wanted. But
Nice.
yeah, the target audience is families.
I
Yeah.
love that, and that's what drew me to this project to begin with. So how much you said that you wrote the game in 1 week.
Hmm.
How much is it totally complete at this point? Is it you still have a little more work to do on it, or
I'm basically done with it. I did some more recent playtesting just a couple weeks ago, and I had two really cool ideas during the playtesting. But better is the enemy of done. So all the main text is done for me. I'm gonna run back in and change two things, and then give it back to the editor. So it's actually in editing right now, and by the end of the Kickstarter, it should be done editing and be in layout. So the main book itself is done. There's just like two little, like literally like 5 sentences. I'm like, hey, you should, here's a cool idea that I thought of during this last playtest. So
and we've already previewed some of the art that's going into this book. Is the whole book going to be in color, or is it going to be black and white, or what? A
um,
little bit of both.
it's hope the cover's obviously going to be color. I don't know exactly where we are right now with the Kickstarter, but one of the goals is to be able to print it in color.
Oh, okay,
So if we hit that stretch goal of color printing, then yes.
nice,
If not, it'll be black and white. But that's the goal,
excellent.
is hopefully to be able to do that. The artist is fantastic. She's very talented. Her name is Cynthia Williams. She's also from Arizona in the
Oh,
Phoenix
nice.
area. And she is doing all of the art for the book. And she's going to end up doing a lot of the art for the card and dice game as well. That's coming out later.
Oh, very
And
cool.
so some of the art that we're creating now is also going to be art that we use in the game, in the card game.
Nice.
So yeah, so like some of the monsters and nightmares will be reused, and some of the like the stuffed animals that we've had the pictures of, those original six, are going to be like the core animals from the role playing game that are also going to be in the card game.
Nice.
But there's going to be definitely other art that is like just for the role playing game too. So yeah.
Now, those characters that you've previewed, do you want to tell folks what the main characters are for this game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the main characters are any stuffed animal you want to create, so it's kind of the sky's the limit.
Okay.
I have everything from like, stuffed bears to good monster, stuffed animals, to giant elephants if you want to have, like a 3 foot tall stuffed elephant as, your character. I actually have a trait in the game called huge, which means you're
Nice.
absolutely ginormous compared to all of the other animals. You're 36 inches tall. Because in this game, unlike other tiny games which measure everything in feet, this game measures everything in inches. So
Okay.
you have, long reach. You can like reach a door handle without having to like climb up on things.
I love it. I love
Um,
it.
so it's pretty cool when you're a huge stuffed animal. But then there's also, like you can be like a doll if you wanted, or like say an action figure. And some
So
of the stretch goal authors are also going to be adding more other options for what you can play.
nice.
The six main characters that we're using in the art are Bert the Bear. Let's see if I can remember all of them off the top of my head. We have Bert the Bear. We have Pengui the Penguin.
Nice.
We have Foxy the Fox. Morrigan the Black Cat, who's obviously a magician, if
Yeah.
you see the art. And we have Bob's the tiger, who's a martial artist tiger. And then, oh gosh, I'm forgetting one. Oh, I couldn't forget Gus, the corgi, who's
Oh, yes.
a dog. Yeah, he has the football helmet and the cricket bat and the cleats. They're going to be like in the book, as far as like we'll have like the character sheets already created for them. So if
Oh,
you wanted
okay.
to just do a quick start, that'll be available. The way you create your character is first, as a group, you sit down and you decide if you're all protecting one child or if you have different children that
Okay.
you're protecting, and each child is like, we kind of give them a basic type, so like an athletic kid or an inventive kid or different options like that. And those kids give certain traits that you get to choose from. So everyone gets one trait from that kid. And then you choose the type of animal you are. So you could be like a bear or a monkey or a doll or
Like
uh,
tra-
bird or, yeah.
Transformer.
Uh, well, that's a copyrighted thing, but
So
we
yeah.
will be doing, hopefully, Toby Abad's Robots in Disguise. Might be a
Nice.
possible. Actually, and I should say Rocky. I think his last name is Seneco.
Yep. Yep.
is also working with Toby on that stretch goal. So you
Nice.
know, robotic action figures that transform into other things will be that option. That's not obviously the core book, but if we've unlocked Toby's, then yeah, it'll
Awesome.
be available in the book. So you choose that. So you choose the type of animal you are. You choose the child. That gives you 2 of your traits, and then you have 2 more traits that you choose from a list. And that's basically how you create your character.
Awesome. So
So
if you've played Tiny Dungeon or any of the Tiny D6 games, it's going to be pretty familiar.
it'll be very familiar. Yes.
So Gallant Knight Games is going to publish this book for you.
They're going to do They're going to work with the printer and they're going to be doing fulfillment through Drive Through RPG
Excellent.
for everything. So that helps with like printing costs and shipping and all that, so that we can bring it to everyone at a lower price,
Very
which
cool.
is always great.
So what are your pledge levels that you anticipate for this Kickstarter?
So we're gonna have like a digital adventure sort of pledge level, which is like the $13 that you get the PDF and any of the digital stretch goals. There's going to be a $25 level, which gives you the soft cover and digital stretch goals. And then we're going to have the $35 level, which is the soft cover, the digital stretch goals, the custom. There's going to be 3 custom 6-sided dice,
Nice.
and then the PDF as well. Let's see. There's the $65 level, which has the bag for putting and that actually has the hardcover, and
Okay.
then a soft cover, the dice, and then like a storage bag that's big enough to hold all of that,
Nice.
plus all the digital. Everything actually has all the digital stretch goals in it.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we're doing a cool $80 level, which is you get a cool little handcrafted Nighty Night. If you back Tiny Dungeon 2,
Right. Right.
um, you may remember the little polymer figurines that
Yeah,
Alan created.
I do remember
So
those.
Alan and I are going to be making some of those. That includes the polymer clay miniature, the hardcover, the storage bag, the soft cover, the dice,
Sure.
all of those things. And then at the $110 level, you get all of those as well. And then, oh shoot, I think I missed one here. There is also, I should point out that there is also a retailer level that I
Oh,
haven't
nice.
done the price point on yet. Basically, the idea is that if you're a legit brick and mortar friendly local game store, send us like a photocopy. Email us the photocopy of your business license and tell us, like we talk to you off the Kickstarter, and then we can confirm that, and then you can pledge at a certain level and get the books at cost plus the shipping, of course,
Very cool.
so that you can sell your books in stores. Because I mean, I wouldn't be in this industry if it wasn't for my friendly local game store, which is
Absolutely.
Imperial Outpost in Phoenix, which is awesome. I've
Nice.
actually known the owner since I was in high school, and he was a manager at another store. It wasn't until I graduated college that he had opened his own store, and he's basically one of the best game stores I've ever been to anywhere in the United States. So, and I've been to a lot of game stores all over.
Nice.
So, yeah, and he's always been encouraging and everything. And I really think it's important to support the local game stores, because that's where we get to game a lot of times if we can't game
Abs-
at home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we have that. I also have the Adventure Party, which is the higher level one with where you get the 5 polymer clay minis. And then I also have a higher level one, which I don't have the price point yet on, which is you get all of those things. Plus, I will run a game for you and your party at Gen Con next year.
Wow. Nice. Very cool.
Yes. And that actually includes a potential for extra soft cover books, so that if you go back at that level, you'll get the special edition hardcover, and then you can get soft cover copies for all of your friends.
So, if you don't mind me asking, what's the funding goal for this project?
It's $10,000.
We've talked about stretch goals. Besides the one you've already mentioned that you're
Right.
really excited about to hopefully add to your project.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch. We're actually still finalizing about a third of the stretch goals. I have most of the authors already lined up,
Nice.
um, but I know that both Ryan Schoon and Schoon, sorry, and Dan Vashkevich are writing. Ryan is writing about dogs and cats, like real fur dogs and cats, as knights or allies of the knights.
Okay.
And Dan is writing about like rodents, so like guinea pigs and rats and mice and ferrets and other like small furry rodent type weasel pets as knights. Oh, Elizabeth Chai is who's fantastic and I've worked with before in Cold Shadows and other things. She's working on a sort of it's a micro setting. Oh, let me back up a little bit.
Sure,
So
sure.
one of the big things about Nighty Nights is that there is a like set universe for
Okay.
the game, a standard setting so that you can just jump in and start playing. And it's called the great city of Underbed and the Dreamlands. And wherever there's a child sleeping, you can go into a shadow or under the bed or into the closet. And if you're careful, you can find your way to the great city of Underbed, which is where the great citadel of the Nighty Nights is. And many toys and stuffed animals who have long outlived their owners now reside here in Underbed. And it's a fantastic city that lives in perpetual night that glows, golden bright with twinkly lights. And you can find all sorts of cool things there. And it is part of what is called the Dreamlands, which is where all the dreams of all the children in the world exist in reality, and monsters and nightmares are always trying to invade there and steal the dreams and leave nightmares for the children. Children's dreams are what empowers monsters and nightmares and makes them
Sure.
terrible. But Elizabeth is writing like a setting, a corner of the Dreamlands, which is like the boggy swamps, and it's where a group of former evil monsters who are now good monsters have made their home because no one
Ah,
else
I
wants
like
to make
that.
their home there, and so it's all about them living there. Um, I believe Alan is working on the more in-depth detail about the nightly order of the Nighty Nights, which is,
Okay.
if you know Alan, is right up his alley.
That's total Allen right there.
Caius Ward is a game designer and writer, and he is writing a really cool alternate setting. So it's a micro setting,
Okay.
and it is called Swarm Nano. And what it is that instead of the standard setting, it's a broken world where monsters are real, and children have forever been altered by a nanite plague. And with the nanites, they can conjure up ruthless protectors and playmates against threats imagined and otherwise. So basically, they're kind of psychic also with nanite powers, and they create their own nighty nights in reality and use them to fight the monsters. That's one of the more adult
Sure.
or teenager sort of settings. And then also John Wick has been awesome. He is crazy busy because he's still writing for Kitai and 7C and
Right, right.
still doing all of that stuff. But he's one of the first people. He's the first person, I should say, who gave me a job in the writing industry, in the game design industry, and I'll be forever thankful for that. And he was awesome enough, and he's going to help his friend, which is named Wick Monster. He has a friend who's a monster who
Okay.
has agreed to write an adventure for Nighty Nights.
Ooh.
Yes, I don't know if you know, but on Facebook, if you look up Wick Monsters, they have their own Facebook page, and they are a group of monsters.
Oh,
And
I did not know this.
they're good monsters, though, which is a good thing. They would never agree. They would never tell you that or agree if you told them that. They would say no, they're not, but they are, and they're pretty fantastic. If you ever meet John at a convention, and you can ask him about the Wick monsters, and they might be there. So
All
yeah,
right. I
if any
definitely
kids are
will.
there or are watching this, you should definitely ask John about the Wick monsters because they're
Ask
pretty
John
cool.
about the Wick monsters. All right. Most of the stretch goals are micro settings. Is what I'm taking from that.
They're about 50-50.
Okay.
So like Caius and Elizabeth are doing more like microset setting type things. Brandon K. Atten is also doing a micro setting. But Alan and Dan and Ryan, John and Toby are all doing kind of expansions on the base
Okay.
setting.
Sure.
And I have about 5 or 6 more people who have already agreed to do stretch goal writing for the game, but they're not quite. We haven't quite finalized what they're going to be writing on.
Sure.
And there's all sorts of options, obviously.
Well, the only way that that's going to be able to happen is if folks pledge for Nighty Nights. So I'm going to tell you right now that I put a link in the description of this video. So if you are interested in everything that we talked about, please click on the link below. Ben, thanks for coming on. Where can folks find you online if folks want to know more about Ben Woerner and Woerner's Wunderworks?
Werner's Wunderworks has its own Facebook page. But you can also look me up on Ben Woerner on Facebook as well. I'm on Twitter, although mostly I use Twitter for just posting announcements. I'm also on Instagram under Wunderworks. So you can find me there where I post pictures every once in a while, generally of playtests and sometimes art and whatnot. You can find me on Facebook a lot. I'm in a lot of different groups. I'm on the Gallant Knight Games Discord channel as well as the official Facebook group. We've talked a lot about how I'm working with Alan, and but I don't think I ever made it clear, but Alan and I have like a working partnership with both Wunderworks and Gallant Knight Games, where we work together to create new products, and Gallant does most of the publishing and handling of the back end stuff, while I do like the design and creative stuff
Very
for
cool.
all the new Wunderworks products.
Now, if folks follow you on social media, they know that you are the pun master. You nonstop, like you fill up my Facebook feed with puns 24/7, and I usually, as I'm scrolling through, 9 times out of 10 it just makes me chuckle. But Ben, I need a pun from you before we sign off.
Sure, that'd be great. If you know anything about me, I worked on Pirate Nations for 7C a couple years ago because I'm a huge fan of pirates. And so one of my favorite pirate puns is, how do you know, or how do pirates know that they are pirates? They think, therefore they are.
Nice, nice. And on that note, we're going to close it out. Thank you, Ben, so much for coming on. Folks, if you like this video, please give it a like down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Without viewers and folks like you that tune in, I can't host folks that are awesome like Ben and these projects that he has on Kickstarter that I'm just so excited about. So please consider subscribing. This has been Victory Condition Gaming, because winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. I don't know why I'm having a hard time studying. It's because you're sitting there, yes.
I'll go upstairs.
No, you're good. I just like to blame someone. Usually I can do this live and it's no problem.
Yeah.